is up, NFL fans? It is your boy, Kevin Phillip Fox here, and I'm coming at you from, that's right, the attic of my home in Western New York. Holiday vacation, if you want to call it that. And just before we get into any sort of NFL action, I have some very important business to attend to, and that is the introduction of my man from down under himself, Mr. Adrian Ravito. How the hell are you, Adrian?
I couldn't be better. The hills are alive with the sound of music. The alarms are sirening and the sirens are alarming. It's like it's summer here, and we've just so the
How dare
equivalent of what
you?
you.
How
I'm
dare you?
sorry, no, because you're in Western New York,
I'm
right?
in a
So it.
snowstorm. Yeah, it's actually pretty not great outside of my house right now.
We just had our first. Today's the first day that hasn't been what would be the equivalent of your 86 degrees. So for like a week, so it's been phenomenal.
That's
Today's still nice, but
nice.
it's not that hot. So
That's
I'm feeling
nice.
fantastic.
Well, I mean, it's not just you and me today. We do have 49ers faithful forever in the comments, one of our
But man,
favorites. We have 26 viewers. I'm sure more will trickle in. Please comment. Let us know if it's snowing where you are. Let us know if you're enjoying the fantasy playoffs thus far, because I'll tell you
oh,
what,
don't even.
let's get it out of the way, Adrian. You know me, Mr. Fantasy Football Addict. 14 season long leagues. Adrian made it to the semis in 9 of them.
Good lord, how do you? All right, can I just tell you? Because all right, so I'm relatively new to fantasy football comparatively to
Welcome,
you.
welcome.
Yeah, and it's awesome. But I'll say two things. Uh, I got I was the one seed in probably I would say my league of record as far as my team goes. Right, the team
Fair,
that's most competitive was the one
fair.
seed, knocked
Yeah.
knocked out immediately.
Oh,
Legit football. I was at one point. Is there anything crueler than like after the first slate of games, your win percentage on sleeper? I was at 60% against founder of Legit Football Joe, and I got totaled, absolutely
dude,
totaled in the back.
Joe will do that. Joe's got the sneak attack move. He's got it on lock. He's my number one adversary in that league. I have to face off against legit football producer Anthony Weiner this week, actually in both legit and the Pro Football Demons. I guess you'd call it he has a name for it, the Demon Universe. I don't know. He has a name for it.
We're all Jets fans.
Yeah, we are all Jet.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm actually facing Anthony
Oh wow.
in
Okay.
both semis. So congrats to Anthony. Um, in my other league, he was the 2 seed. I was the 1 seed. So I'm in 3 leagues with Anthony, and him and I are both standing in all 3. So something tells me maybe the podcast that we either listen to or talk about or produce for, maybe there's some good intel and good info there. I'm
Of
gonna
course.
put you publicly 3 minutes and 45 seconds into the show. I'm gonna put you publicly accountable for fishing up those bets that you and I made, and I think many of them you'll be able to find in the fantasy flag plant episode. I know you and I went toe to toe with some of our takes, and I'll tell you what, Tony Pollard and Jerry Jeudy, I'm victory lapping, but Trey McBride versus Dalton Kincaid, you have that one all day. So there'll be some
I,
ugly wins
I've
and
got
losses for
one.
both of us.
I've got one that I've kept, which is all right. So here is what the one that I can find just on the fly, which we haven't prepared for this earlier. I had Garrett Wilson over 1,150 yards. I don't know if that's. I feel like that might not be far off.
It's got to be
Uh,
close.
CJ Stroud over 4.275 thousand passing yards. I'd say that's no. That was a really weird way to say it.
I
4,275
would
yards,
imagine that's not close.
correct?
He's had a tough season.
Plus 7.5 kick return TDs. I would say that's not too far off.
How close?
I don't know. I reckon we've got at least 5.
I would say. Oh, I wouldn't be. I would say we're probably close.
And I put Bijan top scrimmage yards amongst running backs. That's no hope. Kincaid 6. This is yours. Kincaid 6 TDs. Do you know that?
Do you think he's got 3?
Okay.
Maybe 2.
Singletary plus 725 rushing. I think that's a no go. Nico Collins plus 974 receiving. I'd say that's close.
Whose are these? Are these me versus you?
This is yours.
Okay, cool. That's the prop one.
Yeah, this is the props, season props.
Prop it like it's hot.
That's the one. And then you had Cole Kmet 3.5 touchdowns, Rashid Shaheed 3.5 touchdowns.
Rashid Shaheed, he had 3 touchdowns in his first 5 games, and then he tore his ACL.
So close.
I'll take that.
But I don't know what else we've got. I mean, the
No,
fantasy flag plants.
there's a lot of digging we're gonna have to do because
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Tony Pollard. What I've got this written down. Tony Pollard 24.5.
So
Guessing
that's
that's
fantasy
fantasy
finish.
points.
Fantasy finish.
Oh, as in RB 24,
Correct.
and that was for $20. And McBride 2.5 for $20.
I wonder if he's 2.5 or not. I don't know. We
Oh,
have to vet it.
yeah,
But
that's what we had.
I
And I
was
think
thinking
it was
about it
mine the
recently, and I
McBride
was
take.
like, huh?
Was mine the McBride take?
You had the McBride take.
Who
You
is
had
currently ranked? No, this is fantasy. That's no, that's not. That's right. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say we can do all this off air. We can settle up and then we can give everybody the report.
No, I need them now.
I was gonna say I think it's gonna be close for McBride and Pollard. They're kind
Trey
of
is
both.
Trey McBride is 2.
So and who's one? Brock Bowers.
Yes, and then Tony Pollard is currently 18, so he is above.
So we might push.
Yeah, this could be a push.
We might push. That's okay. I think I'll take a push because McBride really, you planted that flag. He felt.
I was right in him. I do.
Well, what about
should we hit this?
Let's hit it, but let's not forget. I swear we made a Jerry Jeudy bet. I was so in on Jerry Jeudy, and now I feel like a genius.
I'll see what I can dig up.
You were mad at me because he was like, I said he was like wide receiver 56, and I was like, I think he'll finish higher than that, and you were like, it's a flag plant, Kevin. If you're planting your flag, you have to be way more confident than just saying they'll be higher than 56.
That sounds like something I would say.
I feel like he'll be. I bet you he's a wide receiver 3. I bet he's damn near a wide receiver 2 with that 45-point Monday Night Miracle where he damn near knocked me out of a couple of playoffs.
Well, he is currently sitting at overall
29,
30.
Wide receiver 30. So yeah. So we'll have to review the footage. We'll have to get our historian on it.
100%.
Without further ado, we have a Thursday night recap, and we can breeze through this. It was a good game. There was some high flying action. Our first fair catch free kick in 50 years, damn near 50 years. Pretty cool. Ultimately, at the end of the day, Chargers took care of business, 34-27. I'll say, in my opinion, the difference in the game really comes down to one ankled Justin Herbert going out there and just being the best player on the field. And I've been much maligned for my Justin Herbert's not a top 5 QB take, but you know what, man? What's the shame in being a top 7? What's the shame?
I think in a John Harbaugh offense where you don't need to be, he doesn't need to be the star. He's not being asked to just carry the whole team. They've got a running game that they didn't really get going till the second half. When Dobbins comes back and hopefully he can stay injury free. Gus Edwards, of course, went off when I'm not in the fantasy championship anymore. I'll put that behind me.
Nope, I have my own gripe with Gus Edwards. I took a under longest rush 9.5 last night, and he had his longest carry in 5 calendar years. Of course.
Can't say what I was going to say. Almost said a-hole. But the real thing, this family friendly.
Yeah, exactly. A-hole is good. That's good. You're saying
yeah, but no, I almost said the full version. Almost said the full version, yeah.
Because I was going to say, a hole. It's just one hole. He's just
asshole is what I meant. No, no, we're live. There was an accident.
Yeah, he sneezed.
Yeah, so for now I've lost my train of thought. What I will say, sorry, one thing I want to say about this game is I feel like the Bo Nix sort of glow up has really gone under the radar because obviously people talk about Caleb Williams versus Jaden Daniels, but like Bo Nix, man, he's balling out for a rookie. Like, if you were to rank rookie seasons right now for this year, like where does Bo Nix sit in that list?
Just QBs.
Yeah,
second.
2. Yeah, probably second. And I'm not gonna push him first.
Nix, and then I don't May, then Caleb.
Yeah, I'd say May then Caleb. Yeah, that's how I'd go. But look, to Caleb's defense, if I had to say who flashed like what might be the most potential for the future, Caleb would be probably second.
Respectfully, I love what I've seen from Drake May, dude. That dude,
he looks awesome. Actually, you're right.
I think it's May. I think it goes Daniels, May, Caleb if we're going off upside. But I think in terms of just execution, I mean, Bo Nix. Let's see. Great, Caden. Thank you. We're going to finish up our Thursday night recap in just a moment, but we love taking questions on the show. Any of our 176 viewers, if you want to fire off a question in the comments, we will clearly drop everything that we're doing to take your question. Caden, fellas, who do you got? New viewer here. Well, welcome. We hope to retain you, Caden. You have a great name and a cool picture. I'm not sure what that is, but it looks cool. New viewer here.
It's his logo.
Oh, it's your personal logo. Dope. Full PPR flex. Kendry Miller, Jalen McMillan, Marvin Harrison. Adrian, you take this one first. I already have my answer, and it's not very close, particularly for me.
Yeah, and I'm assuming you're probably the same as me. I would say Marvin Harrison going against the Panthers, terrible defense. Like full point per reception. I feel like he's your best bet here. That would be mine.
Same. And
Simsies?
There's a rule in fantasy football, especially in the playoffs. We say start your studs. There's another rule in playoffs in general. It's not just fantasy playoffs. This is a life lesson for those of you. You dance with the girl that brought you. And I know Marvin Harrison has had an up and down season, but Jalen McMillan and Kendry Miller has never had a blow up fantasy game. And if you're trying to win in your semifinals, you need a blow up game. Jalen McMillan, he's had some games, and it's closer to me between McMillan and Harrison. But Kendry Miller, I mean, that projects to be a blowout loss. And, we don't even know who the quarterback's going to be. It's probably going to be Rattler. They won't have the benefit of game script to funnel runs to him. I mean, if you're hoping he catches some, if it's PPR, it is PPR. So if you're hoping he catches some dump offs, then there's some steam there. You could do worse than Kendry Miller for sure, but respectfully, gotta go for Marvin Harrison there. And Caden, beautifully put. Marv is my second rounder, and although he has a literal Lego figurine for a quarterback, we will persevere. Love it. A bit disrespectful, but I love it. And
as a short king myself, I find that personally hurtful. But I will say that looking at Caden's logo, it looks like a personal logo to see, but with potentially Pac-Man in the middle there. So I'm going to assume that's what it is.
That's dope.
And I'm going to respect it. Yeah.
And we got a little situation here with $200 buy-in, Caden. You're 1-0 shy of calling the number. 3 digits, you're good. We all lose 3 digits every once in a while.
Hold on a second, I got one for
digits, this. 1-800
Hashtag
gamblers. There it is. Ladies and gentlemen, tying a bow on this game, I was a bit frustrated by the lack of utilization of Cortland Sutton. He's a true wide receiver 1. He's proven that time and time again this year. Denver has a platoon of like 6 wide receiver 4s that they just trot onto the field. Do 6 4s equal a 2? I don't think so. I think they need legitimate reinforcements at the wide receiver position, better than Devon Vele, Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims, Lil Jordan Humphrey. Like, okay, like we get it. Like, get a guy, get a 2, get a guy. And you know what? We can maybe break into the if there's anything else you have to say about this, that's one area I'd like to see Denver do better. Just maybe get Bo Nix some better weapons. But Denver collapsed in the second half. And I personally think Justin Herbert's throw to Darius Davis was on par with everything we've seen in terms of highlight plays from Josh and Pat. Herbert's got one of the most elite arm talents in the league, and that was on full display. Anything else you want to say on this game before we get in? I have a segue here, an unplanned segue.
Okay, you know what? I feel like you've kind of wrapped it up. I would say that, and I'm not taking to your point. I think that this year's coming draft is going to be massive for Denver, because if you get Bo Nix a couple weapons, they've got the defense, they've got arguably the best cornerback in the league. They're dangerous next year. They're going to make the playoffs this year, but they're dangerous next year too. So I'll finish on that, and you can segue.
Deontay Johnson has been waived by the Baltimore Ravens. Breaking news as of the 20 minutes before this podcast. Anybody who knows the show knows I'm a huge fan of his game. It appears as though he's personally rubbed too many people in the league the wrong way, got himself ousted from Pittsburgh, ousted from Carolina, and his stint in Denver was a cup of coffee would be generous. The cup hasn't even cooled down yet, and he's already on the streets. So, Adrian, teams will be able to claim him. I believe he's going to be on waivers. Any predictions of where he ends up, and anything to say about the fallout of this decision?
Look, I don't have a lot to say. It is a weird one, but I'm not as big a fan as you are. I assume you want him to end up. This feels like you want him to end in Buffalo.
For sure, that'd be sick. Yeah, I don't know where the Bills are with waivers and whatnot. They couldn't get Terrell Dodson back a few weeks ago when he was released by the Seahawks. We were all hoping Terrell Dodson would come back, and he ended up in Miami. So I don't know where Buffalo is in terms of their waiver priority. But yeah, I would love that.
Yeah, I don't look. I mean, it's and it's good breaking news. I mean, there's a few teams that can use him. I just think like players like that where they kind of bounce spot to spot to spot, you're likely to have the same issues come through. And like the obvious one that comes to mind is Antonio Brown, but that's not the only person that I can think of. And I feel like that attitude problem can come through. And another really good example of that is Devondre Campbell. He went out the door as a Packer. He's gone to the Niners, and now the situation that's blown up there, and they've suspended him.
Not cool.
So I'm not a big fan, particularly of the attitude as well. I don't think you're elite enough to have that attitude too. Dante Johnson, yeah, fine, second, maybe third, fine, wide receiver three, maybe two if you're needy.
I think it'd be a really good two.
Yeah, but you don't have I guess you don't have the pedigree to have that sort of attitude. That's my opinion.
I think that's fair. And his career is kind of marred with just underproducing and seemingly being difficult to get along with. Look, we don't know the story, right? Like he could be a great dude and just, chemistry, man. Sometimes there's just bad chemistry.
Yeah.
So, who knows? Fingers crossed that, I mean, obviously, if he's the problem, then the well wishes can be a little hollow, but I'm hoping for the best, obviously, for the dude, and I'm hoping he finds the right fit, and I'm hoping for whatever team that gets him, that they get all of him, unless it's the Chiefs. Then I hope he does this again.
Speaking of,
speaking of, ladies and gentlemen, Adrian and I have a lot of games to get through. It's the holiday weekend. This is the slate of NFL games that we've all been waiting for in terms of we'll be watching football from, I don't know about you, but tonight, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish are in the college football playoff. My family is huge Notre Dame fans, so I will be eating pizza and sweating my triple-digit bet I placed on Notre Dame to win it tonight against Indiana. I got one of those no sweat tokens or whatever.
yeah.
So fingers crossed. But ladies and gentlemen, starting with college football playoffs tonight up through next Wednesday, there's like one day without football. We're blessed. This is a good, you know what? There's a lot of things that happen in today's world where we're in the bad timeline. How much football is on? That's the good timeline. Without further ado, the Houston Texans, and all but locked into a playoff spot. I believe, have they clinched the South?
Yes, I believe so. I mean,
so they're locked into a playoff spot. It's my understanding that they're pretty secure in the 4 seed based on their record. But they travel to Kansas City to take on the Voodoo Magic Kansas City Chiefs, who are 13-1 despite objectively not being good at times, like literally not good. But you know what they say, bro? You got to try to go 1-0 every week. Thank you. Every week, and 13 out of their 14 games this season, they've went 1-0. So I think Mahomes is going to be interesting here because we have the narrative with the injury. And Adrian, I try not to be too jaded on this podcast, but I think Mahomes is akin to Brady in the sense that if there's a nick or a scrape, he is going to limp, and he is going to make sure the cameras are on him, and he's going to make sure that he's got his coat around his head and he's going to the locker room. Whatever. Maybe he's hurt, but I'm jaded by the Mahomes injury narrative. This is the third year out of 4 that we've been treated to these theatrics.
I agree with you. And like, look, I will say, and I genuinely looked this up. Thank God they haven't got Tony Romo or Collinsworth on this game, because every second piece of broadcasting information would be how much of a warrior Mahomes is. I feel like
that's good.
Tony Romo might explode. Tony Romo might actually explode.
I love Tony Romo.
So do I, but when it comes to Mahomes, I just can't deal with him. Like, it's just everything.
You know what's funny? Roxanne, my girlfriend, who has become quite the football junkie, I'm out of town and she's got every game still on TV. I could cry. I'm so proud. She tells me that Romo is bad with Mahomes, and I said, you don't notice it because you're blinded by your fandom, but he's just as bad with Josh Allen, if not worse.
Is he?
He loves Josh Allen. Oh yeah. I think they're going to be on the game this Sunday. Take a listen to Romo talk about Josh Allen. I'm a Bills fan, so I could eat it up all day. I could drink it with a straw, but it's a little nauseating.
You know what's funny? Thanks to you, like I would say, I'm like a sneaky Bills fan myself. Like when I'm watching the Bills, I root for them for you. So
Good.
uh,
You're a king for that.
I try. I'm sorry. Back to the game.
Oh yeah, back to the game. So the Mahomes injury narrative is going to be one to watch. He's off the injury report, so theoretically there is no injury, but I wonder what sort of limps and hopping to the bench we'll see. I think that on the Texans side of the ball, I think it's going to be interesting to see how they attack this defense because Kansas City's defense has been one of the best in the league at times this year. And I think the Texans offense is one of the most underperforming units, and understandably so, given their really just patchwork offensive line, given their how banged up they've been. Without Nico Collins really for 6 weeks or whatever, losing Stephon Diggs very early in the year. They've had a lot of injuries to overcome. Joe Mixon's been in and out of the lineup with hip drop tackles and sprained ankles and whatnot. It appears he's good to go this Sunday as well. He was the victim of another hip drop, which ban it all you want, but it almost feels like this banning the hip drop thing is akin to the making pass interference reviewable. I don't think refs want to call it. I think they have their stance on it, and man, the refs and their back dealing, man. I swear they are a united front, man. When they
Yeah,
know what they
that's
want to do and how they want to influence a league wide rule or decision, they put their foot down. I don't know how I haven't seen any hip trap penalties in any games I've watched. So
very few, very few. There's been
um,
like the odd occasion, but very few.
that being said, we like to predict the games on this show. It's one of the key trademarks of our pod. For the 283 of you watching, comment your predictions. It's very fun because we like to see who gets as many right and yada yada. I think I can't pick against the Chiefs. I just don't think it's smart. I know you're going to, and I can't wait. Yep, Adrian's
I'm
got the clown makeup in the tuck. I'm gonna take Kansas City in this one. I'll say 21-17. And I think that probably means bet the under. 21-17.
I'll tell you the under. But yeah, look, I'm not gonna. I'm done putting my clown makeup on. I'm done betting
Proud of
against the
you.
Chiefs,
Proud of
particularly
you.
like in a game like this. Like the Texans offense, you're right, has not been what we expected. Even take the injuries out, I don't think CJ Stroud has lived up to the expectations he set in his rookie year, which is no one's
True.
fault, including his, because you can't expect him to improve. Like it takes time, no matter how well you come out of the gates. His interior offensive line is pretty rough, and you're going to be up against Chris Jones here, so that's going to be one to watch. I think the Chiefs take this 26-22. I don't know what the over under will
That
be.
feels like the over. I think it was like 42 if I recall correctly.
It is 41 and a half. Yeah. So fair enough.
Yeah. So it's even going down. All right, big dog, you're
Next
up.
up. All right. So Steelers Ravens. This is all right. So Steelers can clinch the North with this one. This feels like, and you tell me if you disagree, this is like the most Tomlin game of all time.
Oh
Like
yeah.
against the Ravens, he's got his winning record already. He's going against the Ravens, who are like the darling of the AFC North early on, and he can clinch the North here within conference, high stakes. It just feels like the kind of game where he will shine. Pickens is hurt. That sucks for the Steelers. But what I'm going to say is, and Pickens, to be fair, the games I'm about to mention, Pickens played outstanding in previously against the Ravens. But Tomlin against Lamar, he has thrown five touchdowns to 8 interceptions. The Steelers have won the last 8 of 9 against the Ravens. This feels like a Steelers game through and through. We all know Baltimore's so good on the ground, but Steelers are fourth ranked rush defense. So to me, giving Baltimore here 6.5 points, I'm going against the spread all day. I actually think the Steelers take this outright. So I'm going to say Steelers clinch the division 27-19. But if you're nervous about the Steelers, take that line. 6.5 points, way too much.
Yeah, if Baltimore is plus or is minus 6.5, I damn near might go. I might go bet Kev's rent on Steelers plus 6.5. That feels
Agree.
unfair to a team that's third in the conference. Like
Hashtag cap
I
smash.
know there hashtag Kev Special. I know that we're all super into the Ravens. I know that Lamar's a trendy MVP candidate. He's a great player. I love Derrick Henry. They beat the Bills 35-10 in week 4. All accolades, hang the banners, Adrian. Um, but the Steelers are ahead of them and have the chance to clinch. What are we doing? Wait, what is this disrespect? I am my pendulum has swung all the way because usually I try to be measured, but my emotions are affecting this call. Statement win, Tomlin and the Steelers, 30-20. Bet the over.
Love it.
Hashtag
Love it.
bet the over. Hashtag Kev Spesh. Next up,
Can't jump two.
the
Go.
Philadelphia Eagles at 3.5-point road favorites in Washington, taking on my offseason darling, my accurately called 2-for-2 special Washington Commanders. Okay, so this game is going to come down to
It's
you
still
got
there.
you got to fix the
It's
graphic.
still in our branding.
You got to fix the graphic. I have disowned the Texans. I've made my speech. I got that right. It's in the
It will
book.
be the Texans forever. And anyone who watched that one show and has the context, because you can't read that in the time I show it. So if you've watched that
They'll
one
know.
show we had, that's the context you need.
Our buddy
Otherwise,
from
we're just
all
weird.
22, he knows.
Yeah.
So Philly and Washington, I think this game's going to come down to we've seen the ascendance of Philly in pretty much every way. Prior to last week, it was the discussion about the passing game, but Hurts really came alive as a passer last week. Finally connected with AJ Brown, which, as an AJ Brown fantasy football owner, I really needed that. We also have Jaden Daniels, who is the clubhouse leader for Rookie of the Year. Very much looking forward to watching him play another game, especially a meaningful game, high stakes, good, solid opponent in Philly. The last time these two teams played was the game when Saquon absolutely took over in the fourth quarter, put on his Superman cape, which he has one. He's also an MVP candidate, and just absolutely dominated and really was just dagger after dagger to Washington in the fourth quarter. I think it's tough to bet against Philly right now. I think it's tough to pick against Philly. They're clicking in all ways. Washington, I don't really know how you attack this Philly defense. Philly's pass defense has been one of the best in the league this year, and McLaurin's great. He's outstanding, but do you really foresee him having too big of a game against this elite pass defense? Jaden Daniels, yes, he's created a lot out of structure this season, but how do you create out of structure when that defensive line is collapsing the pocket within 3 seconds? Jalen Carter looks like one of the best defensive linemen in the NFL.
Great pick.
Unbelievable, and
We said it at the time. We called that one.
we did. That's a Howie special. I don't think I can do. I don't think I can pick against Philly. If anything, because of how much I believe in Washington and how much I believe in Jaden Daniels, I'll give them. I mean, Washington did have that, for lack of a better term, stinker against Spencer Rattler last week, where they should have buried him. It was 20-0 or whatever, and Spencer Rattler brought him back and really a 2-point conversion away from the dub, which I thought was maybe it's the right call if you're trying to lose, but that
I like it.
I like it for the moxie, but man, like maybe they're thinking about draft position and then it's a great call. But I remember, was it the Giants who did the same thing a couple weeks back and same result? Who happened recently? It doesn't always hit me the right way. Sometimes I just think live to fight another down. Regardless,
I think that the analytics tell you, if I remember right, when you're on the road, you go for the 2 point. When you're at home, you take the extra point. To me, it's I like the 2 point. I like the aggressive call. TS, by the way, we'll get to your comment in just a second. Sorry,
and I will. Yeah, well, after this game, we'll take a little fantasy this or that break. I'll just wrap it up by saying I'll take Washington with the points, but I think Philly's going to win this one. Let's say 27-24.
Yeah, I think Philly will take this one as well. I'm going to put 26-16. Selfishly, I kind of want the Commanders to lose, not because I do love the Commanders, but I also want to put a bit of a barrier between the Packers and the Commanders in the 7th seed. So
reasonable.
Yeah. So, but if you took that out of it, I've said it on this show, I'm not a fan of Nick Sirianni, and it was nice to see AJ Brown get involved. And when that narrative comes up of like, oh, there's a problem in the locker room, it can usually go one of two ways. It either builds all the way up, or they just squash it in 1 week, and that feels like what they've done. So
it does. I agree.
let's say, Philly takes this 26-16. Let's pop that away and bring up Pat Fryermuth. I always say his name wrong. But Brenton Strange this week.
This is a tough one. Um, Pat Fryermuth against the Ravens. The Ravens have a pass funnel defense. And if this is a game that's got shootout potential, like I predicted it to, Pat Fryermuth, the chances he catches 3 to 5 passes is pretty high. Maybe falls in the end zone, or gets a rebound touchdown or a soft zone squat touchdown. I could see all those things happening. Brenton Strange was hyper targeted last week, and he's emerging as Mac Jones. I can't believe I'm still saying that name. He's emerging as Mac Jones' favorite target. So there's definitely some appeal there. I think if you're projected to be the favorite, this is a little fantasy hack that Kev likes to bring up on legit. If you're projected to be the favorite, I would play Pat Fryermuth because I think he's safer and I think he'll give you a nice floor. I think he'll give you 6 to 8 points comfortably. If you're projected to be the dog, swing for that upside of Strange's 9 for 73 last week. Maybe he gets 6 for 60 and a touchdown. But yeah, that's my official stance.
Yeah, I think I'll go with the Muth. You say Muth or Muth?
I
Probably
believe
Muth.
it's pronounced Pat Fryermuth.
Yeah, okay. Let's just
I
call him Pat. I'm gonna
Patty.
go. Yeah. Look, it's funny because I think he's got the better chance or he's gonna get more opportunities to score, and I feel like Baltimore's defense, Baltimore's secondary, not that he's gonna get down the end of the field, but Baltimore's pass defense is a little bit more susceptible to this sort of stuff. Not the Raiders. I'm kind of talking myself out of this here. I'm gonna stick with Muth. Stick with Muth here. Strange, like you said, you might get a blowout game. Mac Jones might target him and get on his little, running around, flexing off the field. I think
Freaking
Muth is the
Mac.
way to go.
Freaking Mac.
Um,
We got Takedo Luna in the comments. Regular listener of our show, one of our favorites, truly. Takedo, thank you for being here, spending your holiday weekend with us. You're forgetting the number one thing. The Eagles always show up to games and decide if they want to play or not. And it's more likely that Washington win than the Eagles blow them out. Yeah, I think I agree with that, Takedo. Adrian had some gusto with his pick. We won't fault him for that. He gets gusto. He gets gustful. I don't know what
I
you
do get
I don't know what you
that's what it is,
I don't
gustful.
know what the descriptive term is for a person who acts with gusto, but that's what Adrian is. He's gustful. And
I am.
TS projected win by 20. I'm Pat Fryermuth all day in that case. Adrian, take it away, sir.
All right. Do you want me to go through the headline, or you
Yeah,
want to go
go.
through?
Feel free. Yeah,
All right. So I'll move this on quick because I just realized the time we're at, and we started a bit late, so I'm on a little bit of a clock.
we'll fly. We'll fly.
We're always good. So Lions lose Montgomery and two defensive starters to injury. They've lost David Montgomery, Alim McNeil, and Carlton Davis for the season. All injured in the loss to Buffalo, who beats up on teams. Doesn't say that in the legit football newsletter. Montgomery needs knee surgery to repair an MCL sprain. His season ends with 1,116 yards, which is scrimmage yards, pretty good. And McNeil, one of the game's top defensive tackles, tore his ACL. Davis is the Lions' most consistent cornerback, and he is a good cover corner. Fractured his jaw. So that's the headline. I'll take the headline off the screen, but that is to bring up my point that the Lions. I said, and this is not me being a hater. Like, you don't want to be the team that's the berserker early in the season, and they were the team that people were kind of like, no one really talks about this, but people were sort of giving the Lions a bit of smack because they're beating up on teams up by 25 points and like going for it like they're down to score. And this is kind of the flow on effect. And you can't say this is coincidental because they've got 22 players on IR. The next team in line is the Browns, who have 18, and then the rest are 15 and below. And when I say 15 below, most teams have 10 or less. I think the Lions have kind of shot themselves a little bit in the foot with Dan Campbell's aggressiveness. And that is saying it from someone who loves his aggressiveness. But it's just like, this is the kind of thing where the Chiefs know, for example, the Chiefs are a team who know you've got to get to January. We're going to be there in January, so you make sure you keep people healthy as you can. You don't need to push that far. And the Lions, who are new to this, for a while, they've been in the playoffs for quite some time, are new to this, and they're now banged up as they're coming to the stretch where really you need to save your players and be as consistent as you can come January. So their D is decimated. Without some of these injuries, the Bears nearly took them the last time they met. So that said, I don't think the Bears are in a position to win this game. I think that their coaching swaps have just sent them into disarray. They shouldn't have fired Eberflus midseason. They should have kept Tom Brown. as the OC, but it is what it is. Caleb Williams is playing okay. He hasn't had an interception since week 6, so I think he'll kind of play another clean game, and he might get some. He might get some kind of fantasy pop here with such a terrible defense or such an injured defense. But I think the Lions still win this. I'm going to say. So I actually prepped a score, but I'm going to change it. I'll say 28-23. I think we keep it close.
Little snug there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have Takado. Takado says they almost beat the Bills with a Dollar General defense.
Did they?
Almost beat the Bills, my tokus. If you were watching the game, you know Buffalo was up 17 for the majority of the game. I digress. Not important. Zen. I do personally believe that Detroit. I think you said it well. I think it's a little unfair to put the extra injuries on Campbell, and his aggressiveness. I understand where you're coming from. It's very similar to my NBA fans out there will know the Tom Thibodeau. He leaves his starters in games for way too long. They play 43 to 45 minutes. I'm a huge New York Knicks fan, so when people come for coaches for wear and tear or fatigue of players when they're playing too much or in too much, I do come to the coach's defense a little bit, but because I think a lot of it is fluky, right? Like I think they also play on a horrible turf. I think that has something to do with it. That Ford Field is atrocious in terms of grass, whatever you call it. I think the league should start. I mean, there's been a player swell saying no more turf anymore, hoping that starts to be implemented. I think Detroit has it, and Chicago really in that game against the Vikings just, in my opinion, threw up all over themselves. I think the Vikings left the door open for a while, and the Vikings just did not walk through. And Caleb had chance after chance to make a play, and I saw a tweet that said, I think pretty accurately, like, you're not playing Kennesaw State anymore, bro. Like, you're not playing Western Michigan anymore, bro. He's got to learn. He's got to adjust his game to the pros, and he's doing that at a snail's pace compared to what I was hoping for. Takado giving you a hard time about your stance as well. Forgive the man. He's European. There's a different standard of education over there.
Takado is he is a habitual button pusher, and I love it.
Oh, he sure is. Bro, you see him two comments above?
Yeah, I feel like, normally you girls the ones that like knows which buttons to push, but Takeda comes right in as like a close second.
You're not wrong.
I can't point out a specific injury, but what I will say is when you're 25 points up in the fourth quarter, you don't need to be going for it on fourth. Correct. Pull your starters, coast to the win.
Yeah, I
You've
get
got
it.
a running game. Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
I see the vision.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep it chugging. We got a lot to get through, and we got not a lot of time to do it.
This almost went to the lightning round, but it didn't.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Los Angeles Rams at 3-point favorites traveling to New York to take on the surging Jets. Gross saying that, but it's kind of real. Like, they're finally putting together some offense. Aaron Rodgers, apart from his corniness on social media, is looking good. He's sharp. The Rams, meanwhile, have been exploding. They took care of business against San Fran last week. They beat objectively one of the best teams in the NFL the week prior, right in front of my eyes. Damn near made my eyes bleed. It was a great game to be at. Josh Allen's 6 touchdowns for us. It was a tough loss, man. I got heckled a lot on my way out of that stadium. I think this one begins and ends with Stafford and his ascendance and his finally having a full complement of weapons. Puka Nacua looks like a top 5 receiver. I think the top 5, Adrian, is going to look very different next year. I'm ready to start putting Nico Collins' name in that conversation, Puka Nacua's name in that conversation. I can't wait to see. Am I crazy?
No, look, you're not. Top 5 though. Like, who you ejected? You know what?
We'll
get to that.
We'll see. Well, yeah. Tyreek for sure. Goodbye.
That's an off-season. Yeah, that's true. That's an off-season episode for sure.
We'll definitely get into it. No stress. In the meantime, let's keep it simple. We got a lot to get through. Not a lot of time. We're gonna blabber about the Bills. So I'll take the Rams in this one straightforward. I think Stafford gets some stuff going. Him and Adams and Wilson will get some magic because the Rams' pass D is trash, but so is the Jets. 36-27, LA.
All right, beautiful. I would say 27-23 LA. I think you're not going to get another Devonta Adams game where he goes off. That only happens when he's versing me in the fantasy finals. Thanks, Joe. Yeah, 27-23 Rams, and let's move on to my boy Baker Mayfield, who is, I think I want to wax poetic on Baker for a second because I feel like through this season I've talked about Baker Mayfield playing really well, but I've also talked about some of his Baker moments and this and that, and I feel like I'm still talking about the Browns Baker Mayfield, but I think Baker has grown, and you tell me if you agree with this, but he when he's flushed from the pocket, he's still collected, he's still looking downfield. He's mature. His connection with Mike Evans is undeniable. And Mike Evans, even with injuries, is probably still going to get to 1,000 yards for 11 straight season, matching Jerry Rice, I believe it is.
Mhm.
And the team loves him. So Canales left. We're all worried about Baker. Liam Cohen has come in. He's probably going to get head coach looks because he's done just as good a job. They're on a 4-game win streak with an average win margin of 16. Meanwhile, Cowboys are on a bit of a win streak as well, but it just kind of feels fake. I don't know. Do you agree with that?
I think fake is the wrong word, but I think hollow and unnecessary is
Well, that's
more
true. Yeah.
apt.
Yeah. Look, City kind of exploded out of the gates last week and then disappeared. Rico Dowd was kind of putting up his case that he's a legit running back.
Yeah, he is.
I don't know if it's gonna last, but he'll make a good RB2 somewhere. Um, and they don't have a home field advantage. They're 6-1, sorry, 1-6 at home. So I'm gonna take the Bucks to win this easily. I'm gonna say 28-13.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I will say this: Tampa is known for their bad pass defense this season, and Cooper Rush. Don't look now, but he's catching fire. I 100% am planning on starting Cooper Rush over Anthony Richardson.
Nah, good call.
Is it?
Sorry, Jimmy. Sorry,
It's
Jimmy.
it's dicey. It's dicey. I have to analyze that deeper, but right now I feel comfortable. Um, and I think Baker will take care of business. Dallas's defense has been a mirage. Micah Parsons is really one of the biggest question marks of the offseason. And whether or not he's extended long term, I think you're dumb to let a guy like that out of your building. But is it really working? And do they really have the infrastructure necessary to like keep a player like that right now?
He
Like,
he he said something along the lines of like, "I don't need 40 million a year. We need talent on the team." So he kind of has a little bit of a Tom Brady view on the world here, and I like that. So I think they'll keep him.
I like Parsons. He's a great player. I don't always love the run to the podcast mic when you're mad attitude. Like, and I think I've talked to you about Stroud doing that a little bit.
That's what we do over here.
Yeah, well, yeah, and we're podcasters, so that's what we should do. But regardless, yeah, the Jets, Rodgers. Yeah, I'll make my
Done,
prediction.
Max.
This is easy. Bucks are gonna win it. I'll say 35-24. Titan Maximum, what the hell is up? Welcome. 43 minutes into the show, and you just decided to tell us you're here. We would have rolled out the damn red carpet for you. Jets Rodgers cap situation for next year is gonna suck. Cut him? Yeah, cut him. Take
Yeah,
the or trade him if you can. I don't know if
take
any
your
team
medicine.
will. Take your
Take your
medicine.
medicine.
We
Although to be fair, can I say to be fair, he hasn't been the problem too much. Like Rodgers, I understand that their cap situation is going to suck. It's going to suck either way because they're going to have to eat a lot of dead money. And he hasn't been terrible, and he statistically has done okay. So I could foresee a world where they draft someone, keep him in the building. It's your last year. He doesn't have to worry about competition. He's not coming back in 2 years' time. So just let a rookie learn off him, a la Jordan Love, and but it's less controversial. It's not like a Brett Favre love, like where they're drafting too early. Rodgers is out the door after next year anyway.
Yep, I like it. And Rodgers or Cousins, give me
Rodgers.
the ledge, brother. Give me the ledge. All
Give
right.
me, yeah,
It's
legend.
Adrian's turn to talk about the game, and if it weren't for it being his team, it's a dynamite game. So talk about it.
Look, it's fair, and I'm not. Look, I'm going to make this relatively quick because I don't want to be too much of a homer and just spend 10 minutes on the Packers.
You could.
There's not much to say about the Saints here. All right, and that's not me being a homer. Spencer Rattler or Jake Hayner, despite Jake Hayner's fantastic NFL photo shoot, the play's not great. Kamara's not going to be playing. That sucks. So they kind of put up a couple. They got a little bit of life with Rattler last week and brought it back and brought it closer than it should have been, as we sort of talked about. I like the cojones on head coaching to go for it for two, and I was like that. But you're going against LaFleur, who has the cojones. He's goes for it on fourth. He goes for two. He's got that same kind of breed in him, and at the moment he's kind of in his bag, and I love it. Josh Jacobs, he came out. It's a tale of two halves last week. Josh Jacobs comes out, smokes it to begin with, disappears in the second half, and they go to the air. So it's kind of like a pick your poison offense. I'm very, very, very comfortable with where the Packers are at right now, and comfortable to say that they can compete in the playoffs, even on the road. And I think that's saying something because I've historically been extremely nervous at all times about the Packers, but I really love where they are right now. Jordan Love coming into his own at the end of the season again. Need this to not happen next year because we need this narrative gone of he performs in the second half but throws interceptions in the first. That needs to be out of here. I look. There's a 14-point spread. I would say that I think that's too big, but I think the Packers win it comfortably. But they are while LaFleur is aggressive, he's absolutely a take your pedal off at the end of the game and coast to a win. So I'm going to say 34 to 30. Sorry, 35 to 24. Is that that's 11 points. 35-24.
Adrian, you're officially telling everybody to take the rent money, take out a second mortgage on your house, and go bet Saints plus 14.
Kids college fund. Put it
Kids
on.
college fund.
Actually, I want your kids into a better college, and I'm helping you here. Take
Break
their
open
fund.
the piggy bank. Go run and do. I disagree. I think Packers are going to run away with it. They did what they had to do against the Seahawks last week. I felt like that game was never in doubt. And Jordan Love, let me tell you something. I had a very large payout depending on Jordan Love throwing 2 passing touchdowns. And let me tell you, Adrian, a lot of times I watch games. I'm in a soapbox here for a minute. A lot of times I watch
Please.
games and players that I have parlays on aren't. I need rushing yards. Let's not run it with them. He needs 3 catches. Let's not throw it to him. Jordan Love was throwing the ball down the field like the rent was due. And even if he didn't get that last second touchdown was it Dobbs? Where Dobbs dove and caught it?
So good.
I wouldn't have been mad at him because I said, you know what? This guy knows about the bag and he's trying to respect it. And shout out to Jordan Love. You're a real one for that. He ended up getting it. I ended up getting the bag. So thank you. You made my trip in Georgia a lot more fun. I was able to eat while I was at my cousin's wedding. Without further ado, this is easy for me. 35-16, no brainer. Packers are better.
Now your boys.
New England Patriots and Drake May, my favorite of the young quarterbacks, other than Daniels, but that goes without saying. Traveling to Orchard Park, New York, which I'm down the street, and tickets are like $130, but it's going to be so cold. I'm not going. I can't do it. I can't talk myself into it. It's going to be negative. It's going to be snowy.
What's the weather there? What is the weather?
Right now there's a snowstorm, but I don't know. I think it's in the teens. It's freezing. It's below freezing.
Good Lord.
Yeah, no thanks. I'll save the money. I'll save the frostbite. I'll watch Red Zone. I got to give the Patriots credit, and the Bills are missing 5 starters on defense, possibly 5 starters questionable. Milano, Taylor Rapp, DeMar Hamlin, Rasul Douglas, all questionable. Micah Hyde was brought back a couple weeks ago, kind of under the radar. I don't even know if we talked about it on this podcast. He's on the practice squad right now. Could be elevated. I would like to see Micah Hyde come get a crack at starting again. He did get old and his play declined a tad, but we've seen the way that, respectfully, my Disney movie character DeMar Hamlin has played this year, and I wouldn't hate seeing the old 23 back there. I'll just say that. I digress. I think it's going to be a really fun game. Josh Allen's MVP campaign is fully ablaze. If running the ball into the end zone on 4th and 3 against the Chiefs didn't do it, or if catching and running and receiving a touchdown all in the same game and diving for the pylon in the snow didn't do it, if being the first player in NFL history with 3 passing and 3 rushing touchdowns in the same game didn't do it, then hopefully in Detroit, his explosion of 400 total yards of offense and 4 touchdowns again, hopefully at some point, the MVP narrative will be shut down. I'm still hearing discourse about it, which I'm disappointed about, but I think we all know who the MVP is, and I don't really think
it's his to lose.
I feel as though the fact that it's even still a discussion is silly. The Bills have 2 games against the Patriots and 1 against the Jets on the docket. If they're not 14-3, something went wrong. I think they win this game comfortably. I think Josh has just another fun show. I'll take Takedo and the button pushing. I'll take Buffalo in this one. Let's say 37 to 20.
So I had 38-13. I agree with you about Josh Allen. What I will say on this is, and this reminds me of the Aaron Rodgers MVP when Tampa Bay Brady, where Brady probably should have won it, is narrative matters, and narrative started early, and recency bias matters. So he's got to perform down this stretch as well,
You're
because
not
the
wrong.
narrative at the start was the Lamar Jackson talk. There was also Saquon Barkley, but I feel like that's cooled off. So I think that as long as it performs well, and hashtag Panama Canal baby,
That's right.
Josh Allen is so awesome.
Oh,
So
he's so
thirty-eight
fun to
thirteen.
watch. How do you not just love him and love watching him play? Like as a football fan, like I feel lucky that he's a Bill, but as a football fan, I don't know how you could just not be enamored with watching him play.
And also, and I will say as well, and this is, I mean, this is kind of like I've backpedaled all the way back from my Buffalo's going to struggle and may not make the playoffs this year. Take that is freezing cold at this point.
You
Uh,
weren't ever serious about it.
no,
You were just being reactionary.
I was just trying to get something out of you. I was
Yeah, and I
trying to
think that's what it was.
do my best to cater Luna.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
perfect. I will just say that Josh Allen at the moment is playing QB better than anyone, better than you can take. So where you want QB1 at the moment is Josh Allen, and that is why the Bills are they're just killing it because he is the Panama Canal. And if you miss that show, as the water rises in the Panama Canal, the entire ship goes up, and that is what Josh Allen is.
you're not wrong, and I hate to even just hearing the praise. Like I like being the underdog. I like defending my guys and being chippy, but when all the praise feels so deserved, it brings out a humility that I'm not used to. So pardon me for being humble, but yeah, it's
Not
nice
at
to hear you say all that. I agree.
Not at all. All right. So now we're gonna have a bit of a change up here because it's gonna go back to you, but we have got our speed round. So I apologize to people whose teams are in the speed round, but given this part of the season and teams that are out of playoff contention or teams that
16
don't or
games,
very little
no
correct.
buys.
So here's the way this is gonna work. I've whipped up a few things. First of all, I whipped up a little graphic for our lightning round, which I
That's
feel
fun.
like is quite cool up the top there. Now,
Love it.
there you will not hear sound for this to start. When you hear this thunder sound, you've got 15 seconds left. When you hear this lightning, they sound very similar in hindsight. It's time to move on. So
Got it.
45-second note. All right. And your time with actually before I start the lightning round, we do have to talk legit headline on this one. So
Oh, will you read this? Because it might make me nauseous if I have to read it.
Michael Penix, the number 9 pick of the draft, will start against the Giants on Sunday. He's offered a much livelier arm than Cousins, who is in the midst of an ugly slump. Cousins has lost 4 of his last 5, completing 63% of passes. Yuck. 1,180 yards, just 236 per mid, 1 touchdown to 9 interceptions. Disgusting. I added a little commentary there. So on the seasons, Cousins has a league leading 16 interceptions and 12 fumbles. So time starts in a second. The time starts now.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've been the defender of the New York Giants. I have absolutely nothing left to give. They're just a tough watch, and I think they're best off ripping it to the studs. I hate to say it because I love Dable, I love Shane. I don't think they're the problem, but I think everybody deserves a fresh start. Tyrone Tracy, Malik Neighbors, Brian Burns, next. Everybody else, sayonara. Penix, I don't know if he's good or not, but I think he'd have a hard time not looking good against the Giants. I had a very large payout pending on just one. It was 7 legs, and Kirk Cousins' passing yards was the last leg, and him getting benched is sickening to me because he was 500 yards away from putting a grand in my pocket.
No.
It is what it is. You got to live and learn. You got to keep it moving. Don't bet on guys with torn Achilles. There's my 15 seconds. Adrian, do you want to come in? I can finish off my prediction, and you can
I'll say 23-19 Falcons. You can finish off what you need.
24-13.
Yeah. It will be interesting to get a look at the Falcons. It's the right move to put him in.
100%.
All right, moving on.
Take it away.
This game feels unfair to turn into the speed round. Let me finish the lightning.
Not anymore.
Okay.
Don't forget Dorian Thompson-Robinson starting, so it's
That's
perfect.
fair. But what I will say, right, Cincinnati can get into the playoffs with this. They need to win out. That's very possible. The Broncos need to lose in Week 18 to the Chiefs at Arrowhead. That's very possible. Indy and Miami need to lose 1 game each. All right. Now, I want this to happen. I know that as an AFC man, you probably don't want it to happen, but
No.
this season feels lost. Joe Burrow is balling out. He'd probably be in the MVP conversation if they were winning more. Jamar Chase could have the triple crown. That is possible in a team that won't make the playoffs. Their defense is holding them back. But in this game here, Jameis Winston is going to give you a pick. It's going to be
He's not
gift
playing.
wrapped. Oh, he's not. Oh, sorry, you're right. Sorry, DTR. Apologies. Against a rookie who has shown absolutely, it was 15 seconds, Jesus,
Maybe
who has
second year.
shown the ability to get nervous. So I'm just gonna, you know what? I'm just gonna say that the defense will be fine, and I think that Cincinnati take this one, 28 to 10.
Yeah, we got screwed. Could have been a great game with Jameis. Joe Burrow, I mean, if the Bengals were decent, might be an MVP candidate as well. I'll give you Joe Burrow, aka Cincinnati, 31-13.
Pause the
San Francisco 49ers traveling to Miami, South Beach to take on the 1.5-point favorite Miami Dolphins. And God, Adrian, this is just the ballad of mid and midder. We had two teams that were playoff hopefuls, championship predicted. Black. I don't know who's more disappointing and who's in for a more tumultuous future. Tyreek Hill's questionable with a wrist. Jalen Waddle, as of today, is downgraded to doubtful with a knee. I like Brock Purdy a great deal. I think Deebo Samuel is a well-done steak, and I think he needs to get shipped out of town. Jawan Jennings might be the only valid weapon that San Francisco still has. There's my 15 seconds.
So angry at JJ.
Tua's nasty, and I have been very impressed with his point guard level quarterbacking this year. And even without his top weapons, I think San Francisco is banged up and packed in enough that I still think I'll take Miami in this game. 30-20.
All right. Now, I'll pause for a sec. I will say 28 to 29ers, even though they're on their fourth string running back. We have a question in the chat. I'll let you read that one out.
Evening, gents. Help me make the ship. I'm guessing he means chip. I say chip. It's probably Shipworks Championship. Full PPR, 2 flex and a receiver. Judy, Debo, Ken Walker, Tyrone Tracy, Keon Coleman, Hollywood, Kendry Miller, Calvin Austin. Sorry for the huge list. It is a huge list. Thank you. Let's build from the ground up, sir. First and foremost, we need a receiver. You already got my thoughts on
who are you gonna go there?
You already got my thoughts on Debo. Punt him off a bridge. He's Baxter. Punt him off a bridge. Judy, Adrian, historically, I would have picked Judy, but I repeat, Dorian Thompson-Robinson is starting the game. Do you want his wide receiver one? I don't think so. You have to throw Ken Walker in there if he's healthy. He's a good player. And I already said I like Kendry Miller in this matchup. I said you could do a lot worse than him. I'll go Walker, Kendry, and for your one wide receiver, give me Keon all day. I think Keon against the Patriots. He caught a 64-yarder last week. Didn't really need to do much more. Shakir was moving the ball. Kincaid was moving the ball. Buffalo was up 17 points for the majority of the second half. Really had more going on the ground. Give me Ken Walker. Well, that game script could happen again, but fingers crossed it doesn't. Hopefully he gets in the end zone. Ken Walker, Kendry Miller, and Keon Coleman is mine, and that's my reasoning.
I'm gonna say so. I'll say Keon Coleman, Ken Walker. Hollywood back from injury.
Scary.
And yeah, it's a risk. You know what? I'm gonna take a bit of a Kev special. If you're the underdog, I'm gonna say Hollywood because he could have a game where he just announces his return back. This is his first game back. Am I crazy in remembering?
No, I think it is. I think they just activated him today.
Yeah, so I would say he's off the injury report, so he should be back, and they may ease him back in. But if you're an underdog, you may just get a touchdown or two out of him just to kind of stamp hey, our receiver's back.
How many games we got left?
We're very near the end. So we had this is
Takedo, rewind the pod 40 minutes, and we talked about this before our predictions. We talked about it a great deal. He's actually not only is he done, he's off the team already. It's already final.
In fact, don't rewind the pod. Be here next time. We need you here, Takedo. You know what? How about that? Who's gonna push our buttons if not you?
That is exactly right. Trey, we appreciate you, man. Thank you for being here. Please tell your friends every Friday.
All right, let me start the lightning. All right, this is the grossest game of the week. So if this is the kind of game that you don't even watch on Game Pass after in Gaming 40.
You forget.
So let me tell you.
You forget.
Yeah. If this didn't happen, I would never know. Here's the things that matter here. At least if you haven't got a fantasy kind of what's the word, horse in the race. Mac Jones kind of got a little bit of pop, and he might play himself into a long-term backup. Maybe as he might convince someone wrongly to start him again. But he was, he had a little bit of swag and he's kind of playing like the shackles were off, which was nice. Jags are currently pick number 4 next year. A loss here could set them up to be number 1, which is what they held previously. Aiden O'Connell is basically playing to show he can be a backup, and both coaches are gone, so there might be some crazy stuff. That's all that matters. This is going to be the ugliest game ever, and I think the Jags will win this because they're not going to lose to a terrible Vegas team, 13-10.
I got Jags. Mac Jones will have enough to overpower Desmond Puke Ritter. Give me 18-15, and again, vomit.
All
Dan
right, one more
B,
question.
2387. Hey guys, couple of decisions I'm struggling with. Appreciate any advice. Half PPR, Pat Fryermuth or Brenton Strange at tight end, at RB2, leaning towards Kendrick Miller over Pacheco, but starting an RB for the first time is cringe. I think that's a cringe emoji. Great question, Dan B. We already talked about the exact matchup between Fryermuth and Strange, and to summarize it for you, if you want to rewind it and hear our process, it's just back a couple minutes. I personally think if you're the heavy favorite in this game, play Pat Fryermuth because he has a safer floor than Brenton Strange. But if you're the underdog and you need upside, Brenton Strange went 9 for 73 last week, and he's probably got good odds to score one of the touchdowns if Jacksonville ends up getting into the end zone. As far as RB2, Pacheco scares the crap out of me, man. Probably a better play on paper than Kendrick Miller, but again, upside I think is with Miller because he's probably going to be a bigger chunk of the pie. But I don't know, Houston's defense, they're not bad. That's a tougher one. I'd probably go Pacheco due to pedigree.
Yeah, I was actually, it's funny. I was looking up, like, I just wanted to see where the Texans' rush defense specifically ranked, and it's ranked fourth, sixth. So that's a really tough one, and I feel like
Pedigree.
you could go either way. Yeah, so exactly that. You know what? What's
start.
the you had a saying at the start.
Start your
Take the
studs
order,
and dance with the girl that brought you.
and I guess that would have been Pacheco because he was injured at the start. But I'd take Pacheco.
Yeah, and Takedo, I agree. Please phone it in. Get your L. Get your draft pick. Last but not least, or two more.
Second last.
Cardinals. Is this you?
That's you.
Cardinals minus. You gave me your darling. Cardinals minus
All right.
4.5. Both your darlings. Traveling to Carolina. Cardinals 4.5-point favorites. Cardinals kind of weirdly in the mix, kind of right in the thick of things in the NFC West somehow, despite being just a completely middling team. Carolina, meanwhile, they might be the friskiest / pluckiest team in the league. We've all loved what we've seen from Bryce Young. Looking forward to his ascension to continue next year with Canales and with them. I think there's optimism there. They were favored against Dallas last week. I think the Cardinals have too much firepower, and I think James Conner and Marvin Harrison and Kyler Murray and Trey McBride are going to have a little bit of a day. Give me Arizona in this one comfortably. I'll say 27-20.
I got Cardinals 27-24 because I feel like Carolina, they lost terribly when they were favored, but otherwise they feel like they've got a bit of life back.
It is a pluck off.
It is. I couldn't change the sound because I've got the lightning sound on.
No sweat.
I am going to pause the lightning sound very quickly because Dan B2387. I would say Tim Patrick in this. I just feel like the Bears offense is going to be off so often, which is going to allow the Lions to just exploit it. And
don't overthink it. That's another rule in fantasy football playoffs. Don't overthink it. Tim Patrick's been great lately. He's found his way into the end zone. I don't see any way where Tim Patrick doesn't have more fantasy points than Malik Washington and Jalen Coker, short of either of them going for a crazy long touchdown, but don't bet on it. Two games left?
Last game, and I apologize to our other co-host, Himi Ray, but I actually took them out of the speed run and then put them back in when he wasn't on the show.
Fair.
Because Richardson has thrown 7 touchdowns for 11 interceptions with a 47% completion rate. That is gross. The Colts have just been beating themselves all year, as they did last week when Jonathan Taylor dropped the ball before the end zone. Sorry. So look, I mean, I know Richardson's a project, but man, this is getting a little bit ridiculous at the moment, and they may need to bench him for a full year and let him get his mechanics correct first. But he will get another. Like, I don't think they're going to move on from him. So we'll either see him next year or we'll see him on the bench. Will Levis is out of here. Well, he's benched now with Mason Rudolph starting. So this is why this game's so gross.
He'll be a good backup somewhere. He'll look good in Buffalo Blue.
There you go.
Josh's backup. Come on, give me that all day.
I think the Titans take this one in a pretty ugly game. I'll say 24-17.
Titans 24-17. Wow, I'm Colts. I think Colts win this one. Jonathan Taylor will get going. I think Mason Rudolph will do enough. Maybe get some action with Calvin Ridley. Yeah, but I'll also take a yucky score. Give me 22-20. That's a wrap. What a show. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being flexible an hour earlier than our usual time. Adrian Revito made this possible. We all just freaking love being here so much, and we love talking football with you. Dan B, Takado, Trey, no Armand today, which is pretty heartbreaking. Titan Maximum, 49ers faithful forever. We love every single one of you guys. Caden, you are the reason we do this. I mean, that's a lie. We also just love talking football. Adrian and I would do this without cameras. But subscribe to the Legit Football NFL podcast on YouTube. Subscribe to the daily newsletter at legitfootball.com. We're trying to get Brian McFadden back on the show. We know how much you guys miss him. He's our fearless leader at Legit Football, and he's one of my favorite people on the planet, and we haven't seen him. We miss him, man. Adrian, anything you want to say to the good people before we wrap this sucker up?
Nah, I'm sorry for rushing as always, but it's an exciting. You know what? I will say, let me just give myself a bit of an idea. It's an exciting time for myself and my wife as we look for our next house. So that is why Saturday here in Australia is prime open house auction that time. So I'm kind of always moving around, and hopefully that changes soon. So yeah, but thank you for your patience as always. Thanks for the comments. We love you guys, and we do it for the big bucks. You're right, Titan. So get on YouTube and subscribe, and that's where the big bucks are for us.
And we'll monetize our damn stream. I'll be able to buy a McChicken next time off of just y'all subscriptions alone. All right, hey, don't forget Adrian Revito from Down Under, Kevin Phillip Fox will be coming at you live. I think I might be in Boston next Friday. I gotta stop traveling, bro. I'm sick of it.
Jet setter.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Legit Football NFL podcast, and we are out.